This is Ven with Life with Ven. I'm a family protection specialist dedicated to educating individuals and family about living benefits, financial protection, and building a stronger foundation for the future. I believe financial education should be understandable, accessible, and personalized, not confusing or overwhelming. Whether it's preparing for the unexpected, protecting income, or creating long-term security, my mission is to help families explore options that aligns with their goals and values. Let's connect. Let's do life together.
Who is caring for the caregiver, which is often me. People often ask, how did you become dependent on 7-0 and Kratom? The answer isn't because I was looking to get high, but it all started because I hurt my back caring for somebody else, and I didn't think that I had the permission to stop. All right, we're going to talk about my personal experience with Kratom and 7-0. I mean, I first encountered it back in the day, I would say, probably when I was working in healthcare. And I can remember the exact day I first tried it. I think it was like a 7-Eleven type store, or it eventually became a 7-Eleven. And it was up on the counter next to the 5 hour energy shots. And it didn't really say Kratom. I think it was like a Viva Zen or something, but it had it in there. And I was just like, I need, I was dragging ass. So coming from a meeting back to the clinic I managed. And yeah, I took one and it gave me the little pep in the step. And I probably didn't use it after that for a while. And then I think I got like one more, or couldn't find it again, or I think I started researching it and basically figured out what it was, and then kind of went from there. I think I explored some of the capsules. Um, yeah, and it worked for a while. Just to have energy, kill pain, whatever it was that I was looking for at the time. And during those healthcare years, I want to mind you, I was kind of a heavy drinker, and I went through periods of not drinking, not consuming alcohol, but in general, that was kind of my coping mechanism. I mean, it was acceptable, it's legal. Uh, if it were up to me, I'd prefer THC, in all honesty. But when you work for a major healthcare system, you're not allowed to have that in your system. It's frowned upon, um, especially here in the Bible Belt. And so, I think I used it for a little bit, almost like a nootropic. Um, and then I didn't use it for a while. I got off of it. Um, and, I think I intermittently used it here and there, but I mostly drank. When I say I drink, I don't think I was an alcoholic. I didn't need it. I never DT'd. I didn't wake up needing a drink. My body wasn't dependent on it. It was just the second or third day of not having anything. I would just get over anxious, irritated, and I needed to unwind. And I always liked the come up. It was like the drinking, and then I would kind of get to a certain point, and sometimes I would cook something and then eat and then pass out. And yeah, no wonder I blew up to 213 pounds. So, you know, but I'll put it to you this way. We'll go into it a little bit. We'll start off by saying once I did get laid off and make the decision to quit drinking, I actually used Kratom to quit drinking, because it gave me like a different feeling to where I felt like I didn't need to drink, if that makes sense. And then after a while, I put it down and I quit for over a year because, if you use Kratom for an extended amount of time, you will have withdrawals coming off of it. I mean, it's just the facts. It's like anything, really. I mean, I don't care if you take blood pressure medication, which I do. I miss it a couple of days, I get rebound blood pressure, then it's all fucking wonky. And even once I resume my medication, it still takes a couple of days to like rebound. I've had to get off antidepressants because they made me feel flat. You couldn't do that um, all by itself. There's always a price to pay, whether there's a hangover, withdrawals, moodiness, and that's why it's best to need as little as possible, if at all possible. So, I've known Kratom has had its properties like this before. And, I stopped using it, didn't use it. And then I can remember using it intermittently. Like one time I was on vacation in Louisiana and I threw my back out. Just once you have back injuries, they never fucking go away. And just randomly waking up before everybody else, I was reaching in my bag while everybody was asleep. And I bent over halfway to reach in my bag to grab something, an article of clothing, and fucking the bag just went out. And you're not going to go to the hospital. You're not going to, you're in a different state, yada, yada, yada. I don't think I had insurance at that time. So I went down and got some Kratom, and it worked. I think I was still, at that time, I might have still been drinking on that one, that vacation. I can remember having drinks. But between the Kratom and the alcohol, it did make it to where I could actually function on vacation and not have to be laid up in the bed, not walking around. So, but I eventually used it to quit drinking, got off of it for over a year, and was kind of fine. And, you know, it's this second time, kind of what happened was most of you know, and if you don't, I'll tell you. In 2024 and 2025, my family and I were living caregivers for a 97-year-old veteran. And because he wanted to die at home, he did not want to go to a nursing home like his daughter wanted to send him to. And so he asked if we would move in with him. And he was bedbound and going through physical therapy, and I had to lift a lot. And he was fucking hard headed, a hard headed boomer. And didn't want to wear his gait belt, didn't want to fucking be compliant, even at the risk of safety. And I can remember like having to set him down because he thought he could be on his walker because he didn't want to be in the wheelchair. And, you know, he like sat in the hall and he's like, just sit me here. And then I can remember, we got him into the bathroom, but he couldn't stand. And then, he's like, just leave me here. Let me sleep on the floor. And I'd change him on the floor. And then the next morning, I was like, are you sure? He was just exhausted. And the next morning, I had to change him and then pick him off the floor. Give you an idea, I'm 5'5", and he was taller than me, weighed more than me. Um, and I wasn't in the shape I'm in now. I was still on my journey. I think I was in pretty good shape, but lifting fucking dead weight is hard. And when you have an elderly person who's fallen, they don't know that they do this, but they actually guard. So when you're trying to pick them up or help them transfer, anything like that, they're so afraid of falling that they kind of fight you and make it fucking more difficult. And so he was bedbound. I fucking hurt my back. I had no realistic option to rest. I did most of the caregiving. My wife was still going out, taking my daughter to school, doing her job, and I was the one there providing most of the care 24/7 in the holidays. you know, this was like this second or third day I got him home from the rehab because my family had actually gone on vacation. It was like a holiday weekend, and I picked him up from rehab and moved him into his house. And man, I felt like I had no other option. And see, I come from healthcare. I come from clinics and hospitals, and I know patients complain about it, and I know just from having to do it. Most doctors do not, they don't like to give pain medication for one, the hospital system, the doctor. And then if you do, sometimes it's like, oh, you had a knee surgery, you can have 10 of these or whatever. They were trying to like standardize an amount per procedure. Um, saying if this is done, then you get this, and that's it. But they really prefer procedures. And don't let them fucking lie to you because I've seen the financials, I've seen the statements, and what the pain doctors make, um, not even into a full year from doing procedures. But they do not like to do medication management, period, because it's a pain in the ass. We had like one doctor in the system who would like do it. Now, some primary care doctors will do it, I think, but here and there, I had some that were good, but you know, but what that comes with is like you signing a pain contract saying you're taking this. Um, you got to take regular piss tests to make sure it's in your system because some people will get on the pain pills or get the pain contract. And then I had to fire a patient because he didn't have any fucking opioids in his system, but had methamphetamines in his system. So he was selling his opioids for methamphetamines. So it's a whole fucking rigmarole. Then it goes in your medical record. Like I said, if I could do anything, I prefer THC because edibles and kratom are the thing that kept me from drinking. And so, you know, if you got to take piss tests to have pain medication, and not only that, the doctors are going to be like, well, you're really going to need to rest and lay up. Well, look, mofo, I'm a 24/7 living caregiver for a veteran. No can do. There is no days off. It's like being deployed. You, when he's dead, you get to go home. Okay? When the tour's over, you get to go home. That's when you get to rest. When you're on a ship, when you pull into port, you get to rest. Otherwise, it's 24/7. It must keep going. And so I had no other option. And so I went to the store and got some kratom because I knew it would work and act as a painkiller. And I put my back brace on and I wear my whoop here. And I'll put it to you this way. Whoop was like, man, because you can mark on there if you've had an injury. And it was like 28 days in a row I marked injury, injury. It took that long because I still had to roll him, turn him. We didn't have a hospital bed yet. He was sleeping on a futon, which meant we were always bending over halfway. And then he was hard headed. He wasn't always compliant. So, really, this isn't a story about Kratom. It's a story about what happens when your identity becomes taking care of everyone else except for yourself. And that's damn near been my identity my entire life. People pleasing, taking care of others, and setting myself on fire to keep others warm. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you can relate. If you grew up, you know, and you only got praised when you got all A's and you got grounded when you got 1B in geometry and 88 like I did, that sent like a message of love had to be earned. So for me, I've been trying to earn my entire life to show I'm a value add, to show I'm a nice guy by putting others first, never saying no, sacrificing my own health to take care of others. But I mean, I joined the military. I've always been a person of sacrifice. And I don't blame Bach at all for me ending up on Kratom and 7 for like 15 months. I don't. That was all me. That was the job and career I chose. It was a very meaningful experience. And I had to keep going. And I watch a lot of military podcasts and watch them. Think about it like Two Lamb with Mike Ritland, DJ Shipley. It's like you're not a quitter. You're not going to quit on the team. You're not going to quit on the person, the mission, whatever it is. Doc, give me whatever it is that fucking keeps me in the game. And that's exactly what I did. So, you know, most caregivers don't realize they're sacrificing themselves. Saying yes becomes automatic, service becomes an identity, self worth is tied to usefulness. The danger isn't compassion, the danger is never drawing boundaries. And then life be life, and man. I needed a window to taper and get off of this. Or you need like a 3 day window to just fucking eat shit and go through the withdrawals, which are fucking brutal. And you're not going to be good on day 4 and 5 anyway, because it feels like you got in a goddamn car wreck. Okay? And any one of you who've experienced opiate withdrawals, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's fucking horrid. Go listen to Jason Ellis's thing about his experience with Kratom and Feel Free and his withdrawals from it. I think he was fucking banging his head on the ground. And that dude's a professional skateboarder, been hit in the head and broken so many bones. So yeah, it's fucking brutal. But for a long time it was like I kept telling myself just get through the day. And then one day became 15 months. You know, I had I knew this was not a long-term solution. And I'll tell you, I'll prove it to you. I have this journal. I have another one, last year's, whenever I was in um taking care of Buck. You can see, if you can see, probably not. But I recorded my doses every day, every day. Doses, doses, doses. What time, how much. Because this was not a long term thing. I knew it had a fucking shelf life. But when life be life and you got wives and kids and all kinds of other shit and other people to take care of and you keep saying yes, like the home health person I work for, I need a favor because I always say yes. I'm fucking reliable. I'm the person that shows up when nobody else wants to fucking show up. Okay? Even when I don't want to show up, I show up because it's the right thing to do. And my team will tell you, anybody who listens to this podcast, if you are on my team, what did I say? Doing the right thing never goes out of style. Nobody can fucking argue with the right thing. So you do the right thing, I'll take all the heat from the top. And then after Buck passed away, I thought I would have this little window to get off. But I went directly into this other person who I had to be there at like 6 in the morning every day to get this patient out of bed, this 6 foot guy. He was big, bigger than 6 foot, because his wife couldn't do it and his caretaker had given away. And so I did that for a little bit, which damn near killed me, and it was off my schedule because I was like getting up at 4:30, getting there at like 5 something so I could get him ready and up by 6, take him for a walk. Uh, she would get a nap. I mean, the guy's fucking retired. Why does he need to get up at 6? but that was just his thing. And then I got rid of him, but then ended up with other things. I just never had the proper window. And then I went from Kratom, in that somewhere in there too. I went from Kratom to 7-O. Now, if you don't know what 7 hydroxy is, um, I'll put it to you this way. This is the way I thought of it initially, which was my mistake. So in Texas, we have marijuana and THC is not legal. So we have Delta products like Delta 8, which means it's got to contain 0.3% less or only 0.3% THC. So it's like diet, not even zero, but like diet weed, diet THC. And I've been to Michigan, and when I went to Michigan, I got the real deal and the real gummies. And, if I took 100 of Delta, I could take probably 40 to 60 of regular in a legal state that would be comparable. So, THC light. And so when I first saw the 7-O tablets, I was like, oh, what is that? And the guy was like, oh, it's Kratom. You go, well, what do you mean? It says 7-O. It's like, well, 7-O is like the active ingredient in um, the Kratom product. And they've kind of isolated it. And that way you're just getting that, like the feel good part or whatever it is. Or like full strength, you know, because there's only a percentage of it in Kratom leaf because it's a mixture of alkaloids. Um, and it's a more, Kratom leaf is kind of more well rounded, like it has a very small percentage of 7-O in it. And I think when you consume it, maybe your liver converts it or activates it, and then you get the effect of it. And so I thought it was kind of like Delta 8 and regular weed, like, oh, okay, I see. So kind of what we've been getting is this, and this is kind of like full strength or where they're isolating it, like, because we have Delta 8 and Delta 9, I guess is the real thing for those of you who don't know. Um, so I thought it was just kind of like a Delta 8, Delta 9, THC light uh, versus THC. And I thought it was kind of like Kratom light and Kratom. But yeah, I can remember taking them. And oh, they worked like a fucking charm. Hmm. I mean, it helped me get over the back injury, and I even did the Mammoth March 22 miles on them hoes. Had the strips that dissolved like every 4 hours. Take some. I think we did 24 miles that day. But man, it gave me the energy, kept the pain levels down, kept me going. Because some people get tired when they have opiates, but not me. I get more jazzed up, energized, focused in. Um but yeah, it was like, wow, this shit actually works. However, like I said, it had a shelf life. I knew I wasn't going to stay on it. So I wanted to get through the Mammoth March in February. I wanted to uh, get through whatever it was. I don't know. But it just took a while and never found a window. And then sometimes, like, you find a good product, a quality product, and then you have trouble finding it. Then you have to try something else, and not everything hits the same. And then what they did was kind of like everything, like with THC, instead of keeping it low in quality, they start blowing it up to milligrams. And I don't know if it's an advertising thing or they're just putting more bullshit, more filler, but so they can charge more and get people who are like, man, I need 1,000 milligrams or whatever it is. But they started making like, they used to make like, I think the biggest pill I'd seen was a 30 milligram, then it was like 20s and then 16s and then 14s. And then all of a sudden, I like these 20s that weren't even chewable. And we actually cut them, but they worked really well. And I could taper down off of those. And then they fucking stop carrying them and they start carrying dog shit, kind of. these companies, they just get out of hand. And so then I might like experiment, and that would like fuck up my taper or getting off. And I went through a few iterations of that. Um, but I knew I was going to quit. And once I found like a few that actually worked, um, and lasted longer, that's what I started going with. So the ones that I liked that were quality were like Roxy 16s. They're little blues. And if you cut them in four, they're 4 milligrams apiece. Then there's a place I go to that had MGM, which is kind of like a derivative or something in addition to 7.0, but touches the same receptors. Um, they were 20 milligrams. I could cut them into fives and taper that way. And then there was these other ones called Oxynol. And I remember getting those. I found them in Houston when we were visiting, and they were the best. And they lasted the longest. They were the smoothest. They felt the cleanest. And I remember like getting some and then ordering some and getting my local shop to order some. The packages were different, and I remember looking at the label underneath. And at first, it said it was like a mixture of MGM and 7.0, and then after it was like proprietary blend Oxynol. Because I can remember when I went on my daughter's school trip to DC and some of those states up there, there was going to be a state where it was illegal, and I didn't want to be fucking with any of that. And so I made sure that I had the tubes that said Oxynol. That way, it's like it's not kratom, it's not 7.0. So this is Oxynol. If you don't know what it is, it's just a nootropic. And so I made sure to take that with me because I did not, I wanted to get off before the trip, but I never fucking had a window. Um, there was a few times I was pretty fucking close. And then every once in a while I would um, make it low onto the 7.0 and then switch back to kratom because when I worked at a shop one time. I used to manage a place called the Hippie, and we sold tattoo machines, needles, ink, but we also sold, you know, all the THC products, kratom products, uh, uh, ladies of the night, gentleman club, that kind of wear, high heels, uh, outfits. Um, but even people like from fitness competitions would sometimes come in and buy the outfits or shoes. But I would take 1836 kratom because that's what we sold. I really enjoyed it. It's produced here in Texas. It's pretty good quality. And they're easy to dose because they give you like a 5 milligram scoop if you buy the big bag. But if you buy the capsules, they're 1 milligram a piece. So they're easy to measure. You want to take 3 to 5 milligrams or 3 to 5 grams because, lower dose, it's more stimulating. Higher dose is more, um, what do you call it? Sedative. And depending on the strain, they can give you energy, it can kill pain, it can make you sleepy. So I had some that I would take during the day, some I would take during the evening. Um, but I remember the closest I got one time was like I got down to a very low dose of 7.0, and I think I even like chat GPT'd myself a taper plan. We had it, and because the most I would ever take is like the most I'd ever taken was like 150 milligrams in a day of 7.0, which there's some people out there who take 1,000 to 1,500. So they're probably going like, "Oh, dude, you didn't take shit." No, I was very much fucking in control. Like I said, I didn't want to get that high. I'm I can be impulsive, but with this, I knew. That's why I documented it and made sure to never go further than I needed to. But I remember one time I chat GPT'd, I'd gotten down to a certain amount. It's like, well, you could probably switch to, you'll need about 8 grams of leaf kratom to be comparable to this. And if you want to try to make the switch, you can. And I tried, but man, I just wasn't successful. I was not successful. And that was hard, man. Let me tell you. You want to talk about fucking feeling defeated and moralizing? I mean, yeah, the back injury and the sciatica and the pain, but the emotional pain of responsibility, pressure, guilt, letting people down. Um, you don't want that. Um, and that's why I took it because I didn't want to let anybody down. I had to keep going, and I wasn't trying to chase euphoria or escape life. Um, but yeah, it was just, I could never get that window. I could never get the switch. And I mean, it weighed on me because I knew too that I'd gotten to a point where it almost felt like I couldn't get off. I would taper so low. I mean, I even got down to crumbs, and it was just gruesome, man. Fucking gruesome. I'm a pretty strong willed person. I've quit kratom before. I've gotten the withdrawals before. I've eaten the shit, jumping off the merry-go-round, going full speed. And I'm like, but this time, whether it was age, something, I don't know. But that feeling of defeat in a man was losing confidence in myself, feeling hopeless. And people, you know, some people around me who didn't understand why I could feel hopeless, it was like, or even suicidal, which I did. Sometimes I felt the only way to get off was to check out. Um, and not feeling like I could do that, but knowing I couldn't do it forever. And it just, that fucked with my self esteem, fucked with my confidence. It made me feel like I wasn't being a good father, good husband. Um, just my self worth was in the fucking shitter. And it had nothing to do with that. You know, it had to do with my frustration of not being able to get off, of being dependent. I fucking hate it. And if you guys know, I mean, I went from a lot of medications and fucking overweight to losing 64 pounds on less medications. So I don't like to be dependent on anything. And that was just crushing my soul, killing my confidence, killing my self worth, which in turn would impact how I show up for my family. I swear the only thing that kept me alive was my 12-year-old because I love her so much and she's going to follow whatever example I set. And I'm not putting that on her. If I check out, your child has a 1 in 3 chance of checking out too down the road. And I don't want to put those odds on her. I don't. But I'm telling you, there were some days I felt fucking hopeless. And I would go be scrolling and you're researching and all of a sudden your algorithm's pointing out quick MD, you know, Suboxone treatment from the comfort of your home, and then it's like, oh, how are you going to tell like your doctor, which my doctor retired, whom I love, and I wish, she was the one I was able to tell about, you know, being on the bus at 7 when it ran over Dana, and how I think my body went into fight or flight then. I think I would have felt comfortable possibly going to her, but she had a form of cancer and had had treatment and then eventually retired, and I'm hoping she's okay. And I got on with a new doctor, whoever took over. I'm just not as comfortable with him yet. But I could have done this at home treatment and whatever. I don't know. I considered approaching a couple of family members, my aunt who's 20 years sober, and saying, hey, I don't know what to do. Will you help? But that was kind of afraid of being judged. Um, I think she would help me if I needed it, but it's hard because you're the guy who graduated high school a year early, full scholarships, you know, yada, yada, yada. I'm like the first one in my family, like to not fucking go to jail, be a fugitive, get a master's degree, and be halfway fucking normal. I think I'm the generational cycle curse breaker. But nonetheless, that kept me from maybe getting help sooner, maybe asking. I would like to think there's two people would have helped, but the shame I would have had and maybe the way they would have looked at me would be different. And that kept me from it. But interestingly enough, where did I find the solution? How did how did it how? Because let me tell you, I think it's 18 or 19 days. I'm not positive that I haven't taken 7-0. And I've had a scoop of leaf here and there in between as I got off because I'm still kind of bleh, not 100%. But TikTok, I guess 7-0 is coming with a ban. That's why I'm doing this episode. It is, today is Thursday, but it is going to be released tomorrow, Unfiltered Friday, which will be the last day before I think they ban it. Unless it's August 5th or August 7th. I don't know. There's a lot of mixed reviews. But I went to the old trusty TikTok where I found some of my first interviews, and as much garbage as TikTok can be, there's some real motherfuckers on there. There are some people, man, some of the people I've interviewed on my podcast, like Marcel and Lewis, um, there's some really good people. And there's a lot of people out there that I've started following as I went on this quitting 7-0 journey. I don't know all of your names, but if you're listening to it, um, follow me back, listen to the podcast, and thank you. Because without you guys, I wouldn't be sitting here. And I'm a little ashamed and a little embarrassed about this episode, but I feel like it's my responsibility to share for one person. Because I've been chat GPT in my whole, as I've gotten off, my Whoop numbers, my recovery, and chat GPT was the one that, like, you got to tell a story because it's been doing a lot of my podcast work. It knows me. It knows some of my stuff. It knows what's important to me. And so been documenting my journey. But I went to the old trusty TikTok and they were talking about SR 17018. Now, if you don't know what it is a research chemical. I think it has not been tested in humans, but has been tested in mice. And kind of like, I guess, Suboxone, it's supposed to fill some of the receptors so you do not go into withdrawal. And so, what you do is, I cannot remember the name of the website, but they have a tape program like Get Off 70H, I think it is, and you put in your dosage, and it'll give you like a how many everyday taper, how many SR tablets you need. And that fucking thing was clutch because it's like take one tablet 3 times a day, and you preload the SR as you're taking your 7.0, but reducing. And I was already fucking tapering anyway, and I saw this, and I was like, boom, got me some fucking SR. Thank you to Clear Recovery. That was the first batch. Um, and he said like, oh, we don't have any bottles, labels this. I don't really give a fuck. They arrived as fast as I needed them to. Priority in a Ziploc bag. I trust them. I trust those dudes, and um, they do like kind of at home recovery and program. And see, I've already done therapy and figured out like the root cause of a lot of my issues of anxiety and seeing a lot of death and death at 7 and not trusting authority and adults. And because I think, you know, I found them to be untruthful, like the government. So, yeah, thank you, Clear Recovery. Then I bought some OR Reset and some Reset for Good to have some and try because I'll tell you a little bit how my story went. But you basically you're cutting your doses in half as you're preloading the SR, getting some built in your system. It's attaching to those receptors, and you're halving your doses of 7.0. And I was already fucking down to like low doses with those three, like 7.5s, because I think when I started my SR, like you preload for 2 days and you take a dose and then a half dose. My last two doses were I took 24 milligrams one day and then 12.5 milligrams the next day, which was a 7.5 and then a 5 of the good quality shit. Because it would last, I could get 7, 8 hours out of it. And man, and then that third day you wake up, you don't take any 7.0, you just take the SR. And was like a fucking, I was like, fucking, hey, man, it works. But where I got jammed up was uh, I really needed 21 tabs, but I only got a pack of 15. By the time I ordered the second six from Six or Reset, we'd had some rain. There was a fucking travel delay shit. And oh, so I was coming close and I ended up like near the end having to half and quarter. And my SR was supposed to be here like on a Wednesday, and then it got pushed out till Friday because of the floods and USPS. And so there was a couple of days it was ooh because I wasn't on the schedule. Like I was supposed to take 2 tabs, and then I was like, oh fuck, like I know I'm supposed to take 2 tabs today, but and then I'm looking the updates and it's not coming till Friday now, and I'm like, fuck. Now I'm gonna have to take these 2 tabs and stretch them over like 3 days or something. And man, but I'm okay with that. You need it. You need the fucking reminder. You gotta pay the piper. You gotta pay the price. You don't get off free. You just don't. Want to build a win a bodybuilding competition? Talk to my old business coach. Talk to my brother-in-law. It's fucking miserable. The diet. So you gotta pay. But OR Reset came in and some Reset for Good. And voila. We're getting ready to take a family vacation for a week. So I'm off at 7:0, maybe a day or two, only taking SR while we go to vacation. We go to Gulf Shores. Now, Kratom is illegal in Alabama. So I was like, that kind of is good because even if I'm tempted, I can't even go get any. I'm like, perfect. Um, but even though the SR helps with the withdrawals, you still you're just sapped. Your body, your nervous system is not returned to normal. But SR also, because it binds to opioid receptors, it you have to do a quick taper off of that as well. And I'm happy to say that, man, I was like, we were on vacation and took all my SR, made it a full day. Actually, no SR, no anything. But then, like the end of the second day, um, like I had some stress and like also I need to preface this with before we left, I actually kind of injured my neck and my back and got ended up getting massages. It's in a place like near my neck and back and shoulder blades next to my spine where I've had shots before. But I'd picked up this person kind of in the rain and at the grocery store, and she was a little girl, and I basically like manhandled a case of water, just bent over real quick to put it in because of where I was picking her up. I didn't want to block traffic. And the next day I was like, oh fuck, I did that wrong. And so I'd had some irritation, some real pain, and the 9-hour drive to Gulf Shores didn't fucking help. Got it settled down a little bit, but then it was like, then we went to New Orleans, and so I made it to like that second day with no SR, and I ended up having to take some extra SR just to deal with the pain because I didn't want to take anything else, and I didn't really have anything else to take other than Tylenol and Advil. But that seemed to help, and it helped to keep some of the anxiety and slight withdrawal at bay. Um, and yeah, but then kind of for that injury, I actually have some tramadol left over. I keep it on hand, and I got it from Mexico. It's a low strength painkiller, opioid, but it works in a different way. Um, so I took a couple of those, like one and one, like one in the day and one at night. It's 100 milligrams. Um, got them in Mexico. We go over there, we pick up antibiotics, like, and stuff because it's good to have, especially because we went a few years of self pay insurance. So I like to keep these things on hand. And if I can avoid the doctor, I perfectly like to. I don't need to pay an office visit. I don't need to pay co-insurance for this, that, the other. It's like, motherfucker, I know, like, I don't have this or that. I don't need an x-ray. I don't need this. I don't need that. It gets expensive. So you buy a Z-Pack, you buy some amoxicillin, you buy, some low dose strength painkillers because you know that they're not going to jip you on the tramadol if you're trying to probably buy like fucking Norco or oxycodone. Like, I would not trust it in Mexico. It's probably got fentanyl or something, but tramadol is pretty low. Although the guy from Quick Kit, I think he was addicted to tramadol. And then there's a cop who has a podcast, wears his hat backwards, was on Kevin Lanning. Forget his name, but I've seen him quite a bit. He was addicted to tramadol. Now, the thing about him, he was taking like 50 pills a day. And when you go over a certain threshold, it can actually cause seizures. And he started having seizures. So, but I was only taking like 200 milligrams a day, which would be here in the States, if they give you the 50 milligram tablets, it would be 2 in the morning, 2 at night. I was just taking one and one. So I'm still taking like one SR a day and then going to cut to half, you know, or sometimes two. I'll take one early, but like I'll make it like I took one yesterday, I think at 5:30 in the morning, 6 a.m., then made it till 11 at night. I actually passed up, but then woke up. My neck was sweating a little bit, having a little withdrawal, like whether it's the tramadol. And I know the 7-0 is out of my system, but it's, probably the tramadol and a little bit of SR just seeping out of the system. And I'm slowly kind of cutting that back as I relax. And I'm starting to actually get sleep, because when you come off of this shit, last night was the first night I got 8 hours in a couple of weeks. So I've been sleeping an average of 4 or not at all, 4 to 5 or not at all. So yeah, um, that's where I'm at. And I wanted to release this because it's going to be banned. They're going to ban SR 170182 as well as the 70 and MGM. They want to make those a Schedule 1. And I don't know how I feel about it. Now, I I don't know. Is it better somebody be addicted to kratom than pain pills? I don't know. It's best if you cannot be addicted or dependent on anything except for exercise, sunshine, and good nutrition, and maybe love from the people around you. But unfortunately, I'm 50. You get old, things happen, accidents happen. I don't necessarily think that getting strung out on painkillers is any better than being addicted to kratom. I mean, we had that fucking the Sackler family and the oxycodone crisis. You know, they fucking addicted a whole world. And, when I worked at said shop, I helped. A guy came in. He was like, I'm on Oxycontin and I've been taking it for years because I had this problem and I want off of it. Because I'm going to tell you, when you take any opiate long enough, you want off. It works until it doesn't. And at some point, it just becomes like, eh. You have issues with bowel movements. It dehydrates you. So your piss is off. Like it, anything long term, not good. Just remember that. And so, um, I was like, Kratom helped me to get off alcohol. Kratom touches the same receptors. I said, Kratom and some gummies. I shit you not, he comes back. I can't remember. He'd come in every once in a while and doing well, re up. Then he found like some other places and tablets and this and that, the other. However, he was visiting. He came in, he'd been off his oxys and was slim. And I was like, he's like, I'm off. He was so fucking happy. And he's like, thank you, dude. And, I want to go back to talk about my identity is that of being kind, caring, and compassionate and helping others. So it doesn't matter if I fucking Uber, work in healthcare, or work at a shop that sells kratom, tattoo machines, gummies, and dildos. Regardless, I am there to help. And that dude was stoked to get off Oxycontin. And then he was going to get off the kratom because he went from one strain to like a different, like there were lesser capsules, I guess, less strength. So, it's not all bad. And I don't know, how do you discern? It's the person, you know, on the government side and the FDA and all that shit. Fuck them. And I hate them. They want to ban it probably because they're not the ones making any money off of it. Because Kratom and 7-0, well, especially 7-0, probably became like a multi-billion-dollar business over the last 15 months. And the fact that SR-17 is what it's known as is helping people to get off fucking Suboxone um, and other opioids, heroin, 7-0, and it works. Oh, but they're not getting their little fucking cut. Hmm. Well, not, yeah. They take their fucking cut of everything else, and what do they do with it? Fuck it off into $1 trillion of fucking debt, sending it to places that we don't want our fucking tax dollars going to, funding bullshit that we don't want fucking anything to do with. Okay? Fuck them. Okay? Yeah. Fucking pissed. It works. And the problem is they want to make that fucking Schedule 1 too because, oh, Big Pharma's not going to let it fucking cut into the Klonopin business. I'm sure they got the fucking market on that. And they got some people in their back pockets and they're fucking benefiting from it. So they want to make it a Schedule 1. And until they can fucking get their grimy little fucking meat beaters on it, they'll keep it illegal until it's fucking convenient for them. Just like any corporation, just like it's a requirement to have a master's degree to do the job I did until it's not fucking convenient for the system to make it that way anymore, till it starts costing them money. Yeah, doing the right thing never goes out of style. It's fine if they get you fucking dependent on it or addicted to it and then fucking sell you the cure. But it's not okay if people freely choose to use it and then come across something that helps them get off of it successfully. And even people who've been on Suboxone for years, they say that shit rots your teeth and addicted out loud. Her name's gonna slip me. I want to say Madeline or Caitlin or something like that. I don't want to misspeak. She's addicted out loud at TikTok, but she's cool. She's from Michigan, so my wife's family's from Michigan. I loved Michigan when I was up there, so I automatically have this affinity for Michigonians. I don't know what they call themselves, Michiganders, but you know, I forgot where I was going with that. Other than it's not about the substance, it's about the person and their relationship with it. Some people are full-blown addicts and it runs in the family. um, I've had both sides of my family with all kinds of issues from alcohol to heroin. My uncle died from AIDS from HIV drug use, heroin. I know I've mentioned that before, but I've found family members overdosed on opiates. Had people, alcoholics. My grandfather drank every day till he was like in his 50s and then quit after he knew a cop that let him slide and said, if I ever catch you again, and he'd already been fired from the city of San Antonio for drinking, so he wasn't going to get fired from this job. But shit, my uncle probably still drinks a six pack every day. In his 60s, is a blue collar construction worker. I don't judge, that's just his thing. But all I'm saying is, I have genetics that are susceptible to it, and I know that's why I don't fucking drink. um, but when you're in pain or you have a problem or you have an injury, you can ice it, heat it. Sometimes you need a little something stronger, but I know that it has to be used sparingly if I ever do. But I also know, and this is the most important part. Oh, let me fire up the old machine here if you're watching. Sorry about that. Um, you know, what I've learned about this is that your money comes and goes, your health doesn't. You can always make more money, you can always pick up another shift. I can always drive more. You cannot rewind your nervous system, undo chronic stress, or buy back your health. And, for me, it's like if I had to do it again, yeah, I am going to fulfill my job, my role, need be. But what would I do different? As soon as that was over, I would draw boundaries, both with my job and my wife, and be like, hey, I need some time to take care of this. This is what was required to get through this. Now I need to heal up so I can be a better version and not let it get out of control. But it'd be no different if I broke my ankle, went and had surgery at the hospital. They put me in a cast, gave me some oxy or hydros, laid up for 6 to 8 weeks, then start physical therapy and have to come off of it or stay on it, but eventually come off. So I think it's no different, you know, other than knowing yourself and knowing your relationship with these substances and having the wherewithal and self control and discipline to say yes or no. I know what I shouldn't or fucking should do, you know? Like like I said, I just I'm sure I could handle a drink, but I just don't want to get back on that path because for me, it turns into a daily thing. There becomes another reason to have a drink. And sometimes it's just because you're coming off of that one, you feel like shit, your nervous system's all fucked up, and somebody pisses you off, and it's like, oh, I need a drink. I need to calm down. Next thing you know, you're hitting the bottle, taking shots. That was me, whiskey guy. And if I hadn't quit drinking and lost 64 pounds, I probably wouldn't be here on this podcast. So I'm thankful for that. But I've learned that, choosing yourself isn't selfish. For 50 years, I believe saying yes to everyone is what made me a good man. But sometimes you got to say yes to yourself because that's how you stay alive long enough to keep serving others. That's what I've learned over even this week. I pursued a Uber bonus that I'm not going to attain, which irritates me. I should have chosen a lower bonus. But at the same time, too, I'm nursing myself back to health. And in that process, I have to respect myself and I have to go, you can always make more money. Drive when you can. Right now, what's most important is you staying healthy, you getting yourself back, your nervous system rewired, your fucking sleep, your nutrition, your relationship with your wife so she understands this. Um, school's starting in 2 weeks, so it's it's about taking care of me for the first time in a long time. Like I told my wife, I go, I've never said no. But that's kind of got to change a little bit. We have things we want to do. And part of the reason I actually even pursued the Death Doula program was because that injury. I cannot continue to be a caregiver at 50 years old and lift people and run the risk of hurting myself taking care of someone else. But I can be there as a support person. I can be there as an information source. Which reminds me, like, I got to get in touch with my Death Doula program because I kind of let that fall to the wayside because I was so, well, I've been so wrapped up in all this. Plus, I had a patient probably around my birthday that I cared for pass away. And so this past month has been mostly working to pay for vacation and um, working on tapering so I could get off. And I think it's been 18 or 19 days. I would check my phone, but it's the camera. So my sober pal's on there. Um, but yeah, it's, I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't addicted. I was dependent. And it sucks. And I feel less shame about it now after talking to all you, whoever's listening, than I did. And it's okay because it doesn't matter how you found yourself here. A lot of people go in, it's sold at a gas station, it's sold by the 5 hour energy. It's like they just don't know what they're getting themselves into. And you find people that you may never think of hiding in the shadows who are addicted to this stuff and who need help. And the fucking government, all they want to do is they're going to ban it and a lot of people, and then they're going to ban the SR, and there's going to be a lot of people fucking hurting. Oh no, but guess what? I'm sure it'll fill up the fucking rehabs and Suboxone clinics, methadone clinics, or whatever it is they decide to use it. So it's a fucking win for them, the good old government, so they can fucking piss more of our money away, send it to places we don't want them sending it to. Fuckers. Yeah. Did I mention I have Tourette's? Not really. But the government's listening. I got Tourette's. Fuckers. Uh, so we're going to wrap this up. If you're the one everyone else depends on, when was the last time somebody asked you how you were doing? I'm going to ask you, how are you doing? How are you with you? More importantly, when did you ask yourself? You cannot pour from an empty cup. You can't care for everybody else but fucking abandon yourself. Sometimes the greatest act of service is learning to receive it. I've always been at the service of others, from the military to restaurants to hospitals and caregiving. I've always put myself second. I've always done whatever it takes to show up and keep going and get it done. Yet I'm the one who has to fucking pay the price in the end. And nobody really gives a fuck. You know, nobody's over here concerned for me, except maybe the fellow people who know what I'm going through. And the people on TikTok that I've run across, I love you guys. Thank you for the support. Thank you for, we're all in this boat together. No matter how you got here, whether you're addicted or you're dependent, doesn't matter. Your body's saying, I need this. But we're all in the same boat. And I know you guys know how I feel, and I know how you guys feel, because I am a super fucking empath. That's why I was in healthcare. And so, and I still continue to care for people. Um, I've seen a lot of people die. I've seen death a lot. And connection is the most important thing we have. Like, there's all kinds of shit to accomplish if you're interested in that stuff. You know, if you want degrees and trophies and a big bank account, whatever. Who gives a fuck about all that shit? It's not that stuff. It's what do you do with it? Hmm? Do you help people with the money? Do you help people with your education? With your gifts and talents? Are you serving others? Are you out there putting something out into the world for the greater good? Not just being an asshole, keeping it all to yourself, or selling people fucking bits and pieces or bullshit. You know, one day it might be you. Remember that. Addiction and dependency. I don't care if it comes from prescriptions, the street, or the gas station. It does not discriminate. Just like death, we all get the same ending. So, my final thought, my dependency didn't begin because I wanted to escape responsibility. It began because I never believed I had permission to put my own health ahead of my responsibilities. So, you guys, it's time to put yourself first, your health, especially if people depend on you. Find some support, find your significant other, your loved one, tell them, get whatever space you need. There's plenty of group chats, there's plenty of people on TikTok, there's so much support. You can find your community, whether it's in the form of meetings, TikTok, talking with a loved one, talking to somebody like me who can understand, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you get there. You know, I'm not all like stuffy, like it has to be this way. You have to attend meetings. Everything doesn't fucking work for everyone. I never attended any fucking meetings and for alcohol, and I'm fine. I don't crave it, just like I don't crave 7-0. Every once in a while, I crave feeling a little different when you feel like shit, but that's kind of normal. That can be taken care of with a little sunshine and exercise. And, you know, I have found that on the days I kind of was, uh, those beginning days or the rough days, I've had hydration, nutrition, eat even if you don't want to. I always felt better after I ate. So, you know, this has been a controversial topic. It's a big thing coming up. And I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope you guys got something from it. I'd like to encourage you to share it with somebody if you know someone who could use this information. And also go back and listen to some of my other episodes, especially some of my interviews. I need to start interviewing again, but I'm telling you, like, look, I've been wrapped up in so much shit in this dependence mostly that that's why I haven't been able to focus on other shit because I've been wanting off this and this has been my main fucking priority. And for so long, I felt like it was never going to happen. And I felt like I was stuck in this doom loop of, ugh. Like I literally thought I was going to have to exit this world to make it stop. Thank God I didn't. SR17. Might be hard to find some now. Maybe I should have recorded this earlier. But I'm certain you'll be able to find a way. Get in touch with the right people. I think it's available till August 5th. Um, I know there's clear recovery, OR reset, reset for good, Monster SR, which I haven't heard any reviews of, and another one just called SR something. It's like a little white bottle, looks like the periodic element thing, but it says SR. Um, do it or don't. It's a research chemical. There's not a lot known. I'm taking my chances. I mean, if we just go back to the whole COVID, ivermectin, Joe Rogan thing, unless it fucking benefits them, the government's not going to tell you to do it. Mm. Unless they got their grimy little fucking hands in it, they don't care about you or your health, obviously. Look around. Yeah. So we, as citizens, got to stick together, okay? We got to take care of each other. We got to get along more. They keep us divided. They can and keep us fucking sick. They can control us. So, take back control of your life by not being dependent on what you don't need to be dependent on. If you need help with alcohol, kratom, anything like that, you can reach out to me. I can help you. And there's plenty of other resources. Um, but yeah, share this with someone. Like, listen, subscribe. You can find me anywhere you find podcasts. But I love you guys. This wouldn't be possible without you. And like I always say, go out and be the person that you want to meet.